week.
Yeah.
Probably pretty good then.
Yeah, well, sort of.
Well, maybe not for you, but as long as it's
Not for a news provider.
crazy wild stories everywhere.
Then you end up
Yeah.
getting some PSAs in the news headlines.
Yeah, they're still wild, but we got a couple interesting ones for you.
Stand by. Here we go.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing?
We are good on a Tuesday morning. What do you got for us for headlines?
Awesome. Well, let's start out with the wild and crazy.
All righty.
On Friday, someone stole a vehicle from Ocean Plantation in West Bay, and they have resorted to demanding a ransom.
I saw the story
of the vehicle.
How does that work?
Well,
yeah, well,
like they think you'd be able to catch him now.
Cops will just go and get their car.
That's the problem.
They call you and say, you want your car, we need $2,500.
Oh, okay.
The person said, are you crazy? And then they said, okay, well, we need $3,000. So, yeah, very, very fascinating story, to be honest. The individual has said no. But, I think this might be a relatively easy case to solve if the police actually got on it. But they literally at 5:10 in the morning, they heard the vehicle, because one of these with a, I guess, modified muffler or whatever. So they heard the vehicle being started and driven off. They ran downstairs. They literally saw the thieves taken off in their complex with their car.
How does that work? Okay. I'll give you the $3,000. Give me your wire transfer details. I'll go ahead and send that through.
Yeah. Or you want to meet? I'll meet you at the Georgetown police office.
I know. And here's the most interesting.
What's your address?
They called the police, and the police says, well, it's 5-something in the morning. You're going to have to wait until after we do our shift change after 7 o'clock.
Why?
So we can get around to trying to check the.
What? Sorry, at 5 a.m. you still have 2 more hours on the clock.
You have to wait for a shift change.
They told them they had to wait for shift change. Yeah,
that's lazy.
Come on.
That's lazy.
What else are you doing?
I know
that's exciting. I would stay on the clock for overtime for that one.
You can almost, not believe it. So, UK Overseas Rep Dr. Tarsha Garcia is in a little bit of a predicament with her status. So we did quite a bit of coverage yesterday on the show about this, trying to dissect exactly what happened. She's in the Cayman Islands at the moment, and apparently the storyline is that she does not have the proper work status to be in the UK, although she is technically a BOTC, so British Overseas Territory citizen. Yeah. But there's more that is required. So, we kind of went around in circles with the government over the weekend, and it looks like they're now telling other media that, yeah, they got to sort that out. And Chris Dugan is also in a similar predicament. He's supposed to be in the Washington office. Mm-hmm. So he's returned trying to get his work status sorted out as well. So,
really?
Yeah.
So how? Okay.
What's Chris's nationality? I thought he was.
I don't know. Is he British? I don't actually know. I guess he's not American, because then it wouldn't be an issue.
I thought he was American, maybe.
Well, I'm
okay or something. I don't know.
The whole thing is confusing in general, just to because I know this is the whole ghost Camanian, which I don't even know if that's a thing, paper Camanian kind of situation where it's like. She just didn't have the British Overseas Territory passport, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to work overseas, the first thing you do is make sure your paperwork is in order, whatever it is.
We as coming here as expats, we're our paperwork is. I mean, at least
you have to have it in order.
Yeah, and my naturalization is in. The next step is coming on, and I just have to wait for each of the steps.
Yeah, you gotta just know what the requirements are when you work abroad.
But I can see how maybe for like children, how it would be a little bit more complicated, because you think, well, I'm Camanian. They're obviously Camanian. Maybe I don't have to register them. And then they end up in this system. Is that what?
No, that's not what's going on.
That's not what's going on. Okay.
Somebody just dropped the ball. And
well, that's bad.
We just have to ensure that, whenever you're traveling in another man's country, just like we expect it when you come in this direction, you have your documentation in order. So big breaking news in the Bahamas. By the way, big congratulations before we move on to that story. The late centenarian, Mr. Wesley Howell, has been acknowledged with a stamp. Remember, he was 106 years old when he passed away. What a remarkable age. A well-known musician, saxophonist, and he also ran a shoemaking and repair business for many, many years right in central Georgetown. He has now been, sort of highlighted on a stamp. So he's getting his own stamp issue.
That's cool.
So denominations of 25 cents and $2. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
I used to be a stamp collector when I was a kid.
Really?
Start again.
No idea where all my stamps are. My mother probably threw them away.
And then in regional news, there's 3 tourists who were found dead at Sandals Resort in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
a weird story.
News.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an unusual story. So they are carrying out toxicology report and just trying to figure out exactly what happened. Like, it's super weird.
I mean, this has happened at other resorts.
They think it's an issue with the AC, like carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah.
Because they were complaining of nausea and things the evening before. That's really sad if that's the case.
It is, because there's no and if they don't have
the couples didn't know each other
in there.
Yeah, there's no connection. They're checking to see if they went diving, all that other stuff. And let's not forget there was an explosion in Cuba last week as well, which is being attributed to a possible gas leak at a hotel. So gosh, these hotels might need to do some checks post-COVID to make sure that everything's up to code.
I agree. All right, catch Sandy right now on Bobo 89.1 FM, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday. Have a good show.
Fabulous.
All right, take care.
All right, folks, we're about to go live in just a few seconds here. Let me grab my links for the WhatsApp folks.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
All right, good morning, folks. Good morning, everyone listening to 89.1 Bobo FM. Super excited conversations this morning. We have a lot to discuss. So let's make sure that you are on top of all of the exciting news that's happening in the community. Of course, today is Tuesday, and every single Tuesday right here in Bobo 89.1, and of course, CMR streaming online, we have Tuesday rundown with Health City, and always covering super interesting conversations and topics. I've been getting really, really wonderful feedback. Everyone's like, wow, I find these discussions interesting, they're informative, educational, people are learning a lot. So we will continue the conversation. So let's just do a couple morning greetings before we jump into it. So good morning to Virtuous. Good morning, buenos dias to Rita. Ms. Virtuous says she's sharing blessings with everyone. Marshall joining us from North Carolina. Diamond Princess right here in Savannah. Irvlyn also joining us from the Savannah area. Olga joining us again from Orlando. She says, Sandy, adios te bendiga, Orlando, mucho color. So she's saying good morning and thank God. Blessings from Orlando, sorry. And it's very hot already. Wow. Good morning, Olivia. Wee, good morning to you. We've got Miss Sue, who's also joining us from the beautiful Savannah area. Miss Darlene has got it locked. And she says, good morning, everyone. And of course, Melita is also here as well. And tons others, by the way. Not everybody says good morning. but we got our regulars who are like, listen, yeah, it is what it is. So good morning, one, and good morning, all. Lulu got it locked as well. Hello, Lulu. So this week with Rundown Tuesday, we're actually going to be talking about International Nurses Day. And so this is a wonderful celebration. I must tell you, Luis and Emma, good morning to you guys as well. If you've ever been at the mercy of a nurse, which I think a lot of us have been, you really appreciate great nurses. And I had an experience, when you get to your 20s and maybe you haven't like had a kid yet and you haven't been in maternity ward or any of these things where you really have to rely on someone else. I didn't really have any like experiences really with nurses. You go give blood and you have the lab tech take your blood, and that's like about it, right? But I remember when I guess it had to been in my 30s somewhere. I had to do a procedure, an operation. And so I was in the hospital overnight, well, for a couple nights, right? And oh my gosh, I had such a renewed appreciation for what nurses do. I must tell you that I literally was sitting there in bed thinking, because of course my brain was perfectly fine. I need help getting out of bed. I need help going to the bathroom, all the things that you take for granted that come super, super easy to you when you can't do them and you need the assistance of a nurse, for example, because nurses do a lot, obviously, but you need their assistance in a hospital environment. You really get to appreciate how amazing nurses are and the sacrifices and stuff that they make. So, I was just like, wow, I really was so grateful in that moment. So Miss Rhonda, good morning to you. She says, always a good show. I look forward to it. Very informative and educational. So let's bring in Shamari into the conversation. Shamari, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good. Can you believe that we've been on air like over a month already?
Yeah, it seems like
It's
just
hard
the
to
other day.
believe.
But one thing I love about you, Sandy, is that good old Camanian good morning. So even on the radio, you have to tell everybody good morning. Good morning.
Yes,
How are you doing? That's really, really keeping true to who we are. So I love it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So International Nurses Day is May the 12th, and
That's
we
right.
have several nurses in the studio with us as well. We have Cheyenne Taylor. Good morning, Cheyenne. Did I get that name right?
That's right. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And we have Divya. Let me see now. Divya
Yeah.
Ravindran.
Yeah, correct.
Near?
Yeah, correct. But you can
Good
call me
morning.
Divya. It's a big
Yes.
name.
Yeah, so good to see you guys. So both of you
Yeah.
are registered nurses. Of course, we're going to get into a little bit of what it is that you do at Health City. And tell us, Shamar, I was just sort of recounting an experience with a nurse, sort of my first real, I had to stay in the hospital and, pressing that button to get nurses to come and assist me. Oh my gosh, it was such a humbling experience, like having somebody change your little bedpan, for example. I was just like, oh my God, thank you so much. And, they did it with a smile, professionalism, and they were just so pleasant. And of course, nurses do so much. So I think it's so important that we celebrate nurses. And I was glad to see that this week we're going to be talking about that in the context of International Nurses Day.
Definitely. So International Nurses Day is May 12th.
Mhm.
And even our physicians always talk about no matter what we do in the operating room, the real people who make the difference are the nurses. And just as you mentioned, Sandy, from start to end, who do you spend the most time with within a hospital if you're there for an extended period of time? And it's the nurses who are there to take care of you, who are also there to see if there's any issues during the night, and who are the ones that would be the first line of defense prior to a physician actually getting there. And I think nurses week, nurses day, it should be your nurses year, just based on the fact that when you think about, especially during COVID and those first times during COVID, how
Mhm.
special medical professionals are. Because when we were all hiding, locked down in our houses, when we didn't know who had it, how the disease was transmitted, nurses and medical professionals, were keeping to their oath and every day going into danger, not understanding if they would be exposed or not, protecting themselves as best as possible, but always putting their best foot forward. And that's why we thought it was, definitely time to bring another two of our nurses onto your program just to talk about who they are, why they actually joined, and some of the exciting things they do within nursing. Nurse Divya would have trained and got her degree in India, and
Hmm.
also she would have worked for many years overseas, Singapore, prior to us having the privilege of her being here. And Nurse Cheyenne is special to us. She would have been a part of our Healthcare Explorers program. She went on to go get her bachelor in nursing at UCCI, right here in the Cayman Islands, and then she joined us. What is it? 3 years ago, Cheyenne?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. You see, my math
Hmm.
isn't my math isn't adding up.
And
2018, right?
time is flying already. Wow.
Exactly. And we lost 2 years with COVID. And Cheyenne started with the outpatient department in the very front, checking vitals, and the such. And now she is actually in our emergency wing. So she's doing a lot of exciting things now as well.
Wow. So, Cheyenne, let me ask you a few questions. What made you, I don't know what you did before nursing, but what made you decide that being a nurse was something that you wanted to do as a career?
So my start was a little bit similar to yours. My father worked in the hospital, though not in the medical side of things. So I was at
Hmm.
the hospital often, but I never saw the nursing side of things, the medical side. So one day I was actually admitted to the hospital right for my first time,
Mm.
for the first time, and I got to see what the nurses were doing. They really piqued my interest with how they treated the patients. I'd had a really good experience.
Hmm.
And I was very much had me attuned to what they were doing, how they interacted with the team and with me. So that got me drawn in at first. I didn't decide to do it just then and there. So I did my
Hmm.
own research and such, and it just grew from that point.
Right. Wow. So that's really quite something that, again, this sort of positive experience can be so amazing and so impactful that it really, makes a powerful impression on you. And you, in your instance, you actually decided that you wanted to be part of that. So that's wonderful. Divya, what
Hi.
made you decide that you wanted to be a nurse?
As Cheyenne told, I also have some similar story as I
Hmm.
got so many nurses in my family. So,
Mm.
when they say all the stories, what happened during their career time, it
Hmm.
admires me to join nursing, as well
Hmm.
as I got a passion for life.
Hmm.
So that all makes me come and join into nursing.
Wow. So lots of nurses then
Yeah.
in your family. And
Yes.
it's a noble career. We have a quote here from Florence Nightingale, which says that nursing is one of the fine arts.
Yeah.
I had almost said it's the finest of fine arts, and that's Florence Nightingale. But it's such a well respected profession. But I think a lot of time nurses kind of get ignored a little bit, or they're not seen. They kind of work silently in the background, and they're not seen for all of the contributions that they do make. So this is wonderful. I think that at least once a year, for International Nurses Day, we take a moment and we sort of just pause and say, you know what, show a nurse some love, tell them hi, and just take a minute to really appreciate what it is that they do. So Emma says nurses are awesome. Thanks God for them and all their care. Happy Nurses Day, and God bless them all. Bruce has a question that is related to some of his observations. So he says that recently he was at the Georgetown Hospital the other day, and it was his observation that most of the nurses appeared seriously stressed. What is being done in practical terms to address the issues that are resulting in nurses being stressed? So I cannot imagine, Chantel and Divya, what your day to day jobs are, but I do know that your stress level must be pretty high. What do you do to ensure that you're taking care of yourself first and foremost, so that you can, be in an optimal space to take care of your patients? And then Shamari, after we hear from them, perhaps you can share what your organization is doing to make sure that nurses are balanced and, getting the necessary breaks and so on that they need. Cheyenne, if you want to go first about just what you do on a personal level to make sure that you're maintaining your sanity. So,
Well, it's first of all, it's good to have the intrinsic motivator. If
mhm,
you're just working just to do the work, you're going to get burnt out very quickly. So
right.
when you have that passion and that compassion to help your patients, it helps to uh, not just get you through the day, but give you that extra energy you need to do your job and to help others. That's the main focus. The patient is the most important thing.
Hmm. Okay, Davia.
Okay, to me, once you are into nursing, you should
Mhm,
have several positive attitude that helps you a lot in your career. Means you have, once a patient is there, you have to think, if you are thinking that if you are in that position, how will you react to all those situations? If you understand that, you will be you will have that kind of an attitude. You can behave according to the how the patients behave to us, how they react to all those situations. So that is one of the, you should have a positive attitude when you are doing, when you're working. Then another thing is that you should be a good listener to them.
mm,
So whatever they are saying, you have to listen to them very carefully and act accordingly. Once you get more experiences, you will get used to all these things, and you can be as a good nurse.
mhm. Wonderful. And Shamari, as an organization, obviously, I think it's very, very important that you guys are, you know, keen to keep your professional staff as healthy as possible. So, what are some of the initiatives that Health City has been taking to ensure that nurses are tip top?
Right, and I think it's everybody in regards to the entire organization, Sandy. And I recall data, and don't don't hold me to this, but the percentages might be a
Mhm,
little bit off. But it said if you were to actually remove sleep, and from the age of 24 until you retire, will spend, I think it's something like six of your waking hours, you'll spend something like 65 to 70% of your time at work. So we need to ensure that when you're at work, yes, obviously you have objectives and you need to give the best customer service, whether it's patients and or clients. But it's really like a family at work. And what we do
mhm,
is we always look to one, whoever the team leads are, to ensure they understand the needs of their team members to be able to help them, whether personally or obviously on the job with training, to make sure that they're comfortable with what they're doing. We
mhm,
celebrate successes when it's milestones that we would have reached, whether it's firsts, whether it's the 500th surgery, whether it's birthdays, whether it's anniversaries. We make sure that our staff know that we care about them. And even, for instance, this past weekend, we would have had a breakfast right there at the hospital before opening hours for all of our staff, where we had our leader, Dr. Devi Shetty, speak to the staff to just outline his thanks for everything that we've been doing. And we had a cake, and we had a celebration, and we had a chairman's award for the employee that actually demonstrated the highest commitment to Health City. And we do little things like that that make a lot of difference to
mhm.
employees.
Beautiful. Yeah, and of course it's the little things that people do appreciate. So I'm glad to hear that that is being done. What do you enjoy the most about your job? This might be hard, Divya, to pick out like one single thing, but if you had to pick something out about, okay, like this is the one part of my job that I really do enjoy the most, what would you say that is?
Uh, Actually, I'm working in endoscopy department.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Once I finished my course, I have been selected onto this department, and I really like there. Once I'm into it, first when I joined as a very new staff, I was a bit nervous over there. Once I get into it, the team there is very supportive and very caring. So once you feel that you are in a family, then you can all your it's like a together with a learning purpose, as well as it's like a family. So it will motivate you to work good. I mean, you can work very good as a nurse, as well as you can learn at the same time. So to me, I'm really proud to be a nurse, that I really enjoyed working in my department. What I am, I still have for so many opportunities in learning. As as years passing by, we have got a lot of improvements in and different techniques that we can do to improve. Improve our patient safety and for caring them. So it's all like a, you know it's like motivating us to work more and enjoy working.
Yes. Very good. And Cheyenne, if you had to pick sort of what your favorite part of your job is at the moment, what would it be?
Other than the work itself, having seeing your patients improve, seeing how your work comes together, you and your team working together to improve your patient's life, to give a positive impact. When you see that end result, that's the best part, I would say. And that's what we would all say.
Yes, wonderful. Now, of course, some nurses actually specialize in a particular area. So, Divya, you were just talking about the area that you're in. Cheyenne, are you doing anything specialty-wise at the moment, or are you still just working? It says that you were in the outpatient department, and now
Yes,
you're doing emergency room,
yes, I'm in the emergency now.
right? And do you think that that might be an area that you want to stay in, or are you getting a feel for kind of where you might eventually end up?
And there's so many opportunities and so many specialities.
Yes.
But right now, this is where my fascination lies, in the emergency department.
Yes. I think the emergency department offers a lot of excitement, from what I understand. Urgent care can really keep you on your feet. So, folks, if you have any questions for the Health City team here on Medical Rundown with Health City, feel free to give us a call. The number is 936-2626. Again, that's 936 Bobo is the telephone number. So, good morning to Barbara. Tracy says good morning and happy International Nurses Day, which is on Thursday, folks, on the 12th. And she says, thank you to all of the nurses that are angels in human form. Now and every day, you are truly appreciated. Richard joining us from Round Rock, Texas. We've got Felicia here. And of course, Miss Sue says, Health City nurses are the best. Took care of me after I had surgery there. So kind and caring. Good morning to Alex, who's just joined the conversation. And of course, Miss Joy joining us from Texas as well. Have you ever had a situation as nurses where you thought, oh my gosh, I'm not sure that I can do this, and then you kind of pulled it out of the hat and you surprised even yourself? Have you had one of those, sort of amazing moments in your nursing profession that you can kind of think about as you reflect on International Nurses Day? Or maybe it's every day that you have those amazing moments.
Yeah. Talking about that, yes, every day we have one or another thing. The situation can change or get worsened anytime. So we have to act according. Every day is a learning. Every day we have got some kind of a learning practices happening. It's through direct. So we don't know what will happen next.
Right.
So we have to act accordingly. If we are a team here, so even though we don't know that, the other one will support us. So through that, we also can learn what it's actually we have to do. In the later part. So it's like, so everyone is very supportive, and it's like a very good teamwork here. So so it is, it's just like that. So we still can learn. We are learning some things every day in our life. In our career.
Right. Very good. So the theme this year for International Nurses Day is Nurses a Voice to Lead, Invest in Nursing, and Respect Rights to Secure Global Health. So, of course, one of the sort of obvious things that has come out of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, is that this concept of global health and wellness, something that is impacting people all the way in China, India, Sri Lanka, the UK, the US, is also impacting us here in the Cayman Islands. So this, in many respects, I feel has brought the world a little bit closer to at least sharing some common ground and understanding each other in the midst of, this pandemic that has been so eye-opening for us. I think a lot of us are obviously understanding a little bit more about how it's going to work. But you guys were on the front line of this, just like physicians and other healthcare professionals in the early days. I can't imagine what you were thinking. You must have been, very much afraid of what the future held as it related to this pandemic. And I'm sure based on your youthful look, Cheyenne and Divya, you probably never experienced anything like this, like most of us haven't, like this pandemic. How did you deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in the early days? Like, how did you just maintain your sanity and just sort of stay focused on what, the medical profession was saying and isolating yourself from any sort of bad information or, just sort of staying focused medically?
Okay, so of course we have great leaders here, so they'll give us a directive. We have to come into work. We're the frontline staff, so we can't run, we can't hide. But this is, even if it's a different kind of situation, we know the base, we know the groundwork, we know that what we need to do. So it's just, there's going to be added stress, but we have our protocols. We have, even if we don't have all the information, we have to work as a team. We have to work along with our leaders to make sure we're giving the best kind of healthcare, despite whatever is going on around us. And of course, we have to keep grounded in what we were taught and the clinical practices and the things that we know are right.
Right. Good. Divya?
Yeah, it's the same. We have to follow strict sanitation, and as well as we have to follow our protocols as per the hospital says. So in order to keep everyone safe as we can, so that it won't spread much more to to the community. So we are trying our level best to not to spread all those things, as we are following the strict practices as per the hospital, and everyone as a team is strictly following all those instructions that is given by our team.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of fun this morning. I know Shamari was not expecting this, but he knows that we like to have fun here on CMR. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to throw in a couple gift certificates from other sponsors. So you guys know we always have a slew of gift certificates from Waffle Monkeys. We've got BK and Popeyes, all that fun stuff over on the side. So I've got a trivia question related to International Nurses Day. So whose birthday? Now you guys got to pay attention now. Whose birthday does International Nurses Day fall on each year? So remember now, the date is May the 12th, and whose birthday is that? Let's see how smart are people and how awoke they are this morning. So Ms. Beulah, good morning. Vanessa, Alex, thank you guys for joining us. So any guesses on whose birthday it's actually celebrated on? If you think about it, it's a fairly easy one. So I'll put that out there and let you guys have a think. And of course, you can also call into the program 936-2626 if you want to weigh in on that trivia question. So whose birthday is International Nurses Day? Shamari, that smile on your face makes me know that you know.
Am I allowed to win?
Am I allowed? No.
Oh, see, that's not fair.
Celine comes out of the bag very, very quickly, and she says it's Florence Nightingale, and that's absolutely right. It is indeed Florence Nightingale, and Florence Nightingale is considered to be the founder of the nursing profession. And she actually founded the first secular nursing school. So imagine that. Absolutely amazing. She's made the rounds at night carrying her lamp for light, and she's known as the Lady with the Lamp. And she was instrumental in nursing care throughout the Crimean War and pushed for more sanitary hospital practices. First hospital training school set up for nurses was established in Germany in 1846, and it was called the Institute for Protestant Deaconesses. Sorry, Deaconesses. Yes. So there you go. International Nurses Day, really highlighting nurses, but also is held on Florence Nightingale's birthday. So Celine, just send me a WhatsApp message and I'll get you a little gift certificate. Very, very super interesting. Now here's one. This one might be a little bit tougher. In the US, right? Let me see if I think I'll pick the year that this happened. So Dorothy Sutherland proposed Nurses Day to President Dwight D. Eisenhower. What year did that happen? So this one might have you guys thinking and Googling a little bit more. Hortensia was thinking it was the Queen's birthday. Nope, not the Queen. It was Florence Nightingale. Good morning to Bishop Hero Blair. He says, congratulations to all nurses and healthcare providers. Good morning to Marcia. She was going to garnish another guess about someone who's advocating for women's rights, but it's a little bit closer to home, and that Miss Florence Nightingale herself was actually a nurse and really, stepped up in the profession. So incredibly interesting. Now, ladies, as people think about what year it was proposed in the US, this sort of celebration of Nurses Day to President Eisenhower, what words of encouragement for people who are, oh, look at that. You guys are too smart. Andrew, 1953. That is the correct year. So Andrew, congratulations. You were quick there. I'm guessing that was a Google finger. And send us a message as well so that we can get you a gift certificate sorted out. So very good. We got some smart people here. If you were talking, maybe there's some young people listening to the program this morning and are thinking about different careers and, maybe medicine, maybe they want to be a nurse. What would you say to them if they were thinking, you know what, maybe I want to be a nurse? What words of encouragement or advice would you give them?
To the newer generations, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, whoever really wants to be a nurse, they should have some basic qualities. Like they should have the patience, and they should have empathy towards the patient, so that they should feel that if they are in a situation as what the patient feels, and if you can act accordingly or if you can behave accordingly, then it's a right choice. Then another thing to mention is that, as I mentioned earlier, you should have a passion towards life to, make it clearer. If you are like I'm a person who likes gardening also. So if you are enjoying the growth of a plant from a seedling to a tree or a plant, there you can really see. So we are like watering them. We are like giving fertilizers in order to make them healthy and strong. So it is same as in the case of human beings also. People get sick, that's why they come to hospital. So we are there to care for them. If he feels that there is someone that who really can care them, then they feel very comfortable, and we will help them to get back into their normal lives. So all this so if the newer generation, if they feels that all these qualities are inside them, then they can be a best nurse. That is what I feel. And
Right.
one more thing, this is a vast profession, career, that you will never run out of a job whatever happens. So it's like a safe career also. So
Yes.
sure, if people who really wants to come and join, and should have the basic qualities, so that they can be a good, it will be a good option for them to be as a nurse. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I feel.
Okay, and I like what she says about job security being always there. So Seymour says with Google these days, no question is too hard. Well, no question is impossible, that's for sure. But listen to this. This is a very interesting fact. So although it was proposed in 1953, it took the president quite a while, and he didn't sign the proclamation. So believe it or not, he didn't take it up. It went all the way to 1974 that President Nixon made an official proclamation for Nurses Week. So imagine that. Now, here's a bit of trivia about World War One. So, in the First World War, the British Red Cross employed some 6,000 nurses. Approximately 5,000 of those nurses worked in hospitals in the United Kingdom, and they were paid $60 per year. That's the equivalent of about 2,600 per year in today's money. And as you know, that doesn't get you very far. So they were making immense sacrifices even during the World War at that time. Wow, truly amazing. Um, Cheyenne, what would you say to encourage young people who are interested in the profession?
So other than what Divya said,
Hmm.
it's important to do your own research before you decide for sure this is what you want to do, because it can be a stressful job for sure.
Yes.
And it's not for everybody. You need to see the pros and cons. If you're okay with working a 12-hour shift, some people won't be okay with that. It's not everywhere you may do a 12-hour shift, but also if you're not okay with body fluids, maybe that would turn you off. Um, it depends, because there are lots of pros and lots of cons, but as some people would say, it's a kind of a lifestyle. So
Hmm.
see if it's the right job for you before you dive in head first. Of
Hmm.
course, it's the as she said, the empathy, the compassion, the the passion for life is also important. But you have to look at the more practical side of things as well.
And of
And
course,
Sandy,
Shamari, yes.
yeah, sorry, Sandy. I was just wanting Shian to also speak about her experience at the
Hmm.
UCCI Nursing College, just because it's within your reach. It's right here. A lot of times you may have to go overseas, but the fact that we have it right here in the Cayman Islands, I think, is important.
Hmm.
And also to give a shout out to um, Miss Josanna Watson, who would have
Yes.
received our Mary J. Seacole Prize for the highest first year GPA in the nursing school last year. So we
Oh,
also
wow.
support the UCCI nursing school, obviously, in a practical sense, whereby Sheann and others would come to Health City during the years that they're there at UCCI. But we also support ensuring that our nurses can achieve the highest when they're there as well. But I definitely
Hmm.
would like Sheann to speak about that so people can
Hmm.
understand not how easy it is, but how accessible it is right here in Cayman.
Yes, wonderful.
Very accessible. So it's the same everywhere in the world. It's a 4-year course for the registered nursing program.
Hmm.
Um, as he mentioned, Mr. Shamari, you do get experience in the hospital here, whether through the program I went through, the Explorers program. We get some experience at Health City or in other the public hospital, the clinics. Um, so it's a good course, a very good course. The teachers are great. When I was there, I had a good experience. So I would encourage, if you don't need to go away to another country, there's a school right here at UCCI that you can join.
So this is wonderful, Cheyenne, because you're obviously a product of the the School of Nursing here at the University College of the Cayman Islands. And as Shamari said, this is a perfect example of how you can choose this profession. If you wish to remain in the Cayman Islands, there are options that are available to you. And Shamari, tell us a little bit about how Health City is helping people who might be interested in the nursing profession or the internship programs, even maybe before someone starts nursing school, can they kind of get a feel for what their options are professionally?
Definitely. So we have our Healthcare Explorers program. That will definitely that will take more than an hour, but we're definitely going to come on in the coming weeks to explain all the different products we have. But as an example, we would have your Shadow a Doctor program. So for those that may be interested in potentially going off to become a doctor, starting, from as young as 12, 13, 14, all the way up to university, we have different products. But the Shadow a Doctor program is more or less the day in the life of a doctor, where
Mhm.
young people can come in and actually shadow a doctor and see what they do within any
Mhm.
given day, and also answer questions that the young people may have. So we have various programs and products, and then obviously HSA does a great job working with UCCI's nursing school, and then Health City also on the back end, the later years, also has the cohort of nurses coming through to see what we would be doing at a tertiary level type of institution. On the back end, typically students going to nursing school that are Caymanians will have scholarships taken care of.
Mhm.
However, we work with UCCI um, just because we understand at times there may be other issues that would stop a student from going to school versus the scholarship. So we have a program with UCCI for grants that if there is an issue whereby, and I'll just give an example, maybe there is a young single mother who needs to pay rent, and if she's not working a full-time job, she's not able to pay rent, then how can she go to nursing school?
Mhm.
And if there's an issue with the rent per se, Health City with Donette at UCCI will actually look at it and make grants so that we can keep the young people in school. So that's just an example of how we also help in other ways, actually financially, to ensure that our best and brightest are able to achieve in this field.
All right, folks. So if you're just joining the program this morning, this is another medical rundown segment. Every single Tuesday, you can catch them here with Health City. And we are talking about International Nurses Day, which is falling every single year on May the 12th. And as part of National Nurses Week, which actually ends on May the 12th as well. So lots of interesting trivia questions and trivia information. So we're just talking about how, so many nurses are being utilized in the First World War by the British Red Cross. And of course, we know that during the pandemic, the world of nursing again was super highlighted because it became so incredibly obvious how nurses were pivotal in the delivery of a lot of primary care services. They're in the ICU with patients. And I remember seeing a video that Kevin Watler had actually shared with us. I can't put my fingers on it right now, but it was one of those videos that really brought you to tears because it was nurses. It was showing how nurses every single day, regardless of what was going on with the pandemic, they were securing themselves as much as they could, showing up in very uncertain times, putting their own lives at risk and on the front line, really just to take care of their patients. And I remember a particular nurse saying that, her promise to all of her ICU patients, of course, these are patients dealing with COVID, is her promise to them is that they would not die alone. Because although family couldn't come and visit them, she was always there as a nurse to hold their hand so that in the event that they were kind of, at that last moment, they were not going to do it alone because she was going to be there for them. And I thought it was so amazing the level of commitment and love that people have for this profession, where they were willing to make sacrifices every single day, including putting their own lives, folks, on the line. So, of course, this is your opportunity this week to tell a nurse how much they mean to you. Perhaps you've, remembered a nurse from your childhood, or even today, a nurse is taking care of an elderly parent and an elderly aunt or uncle or whatever. You make sure they know how much you appreciate them. The first Hallmark greeting card for nurses debuted in 1992. So it took a while for them to design a card just for nurses, but you can find them, folks, or you can just give them a nice bouquet of flowers. Just a thank you is something that's appreciated, of course. So anything special that you guys will be doing, Shamari, at Health City to celebrate the International Nurses Day or Nurses Week? Do you have any parties going on that we should know about?
Well, not for the public. But
Yes.
stop giving away the secrets, Sandy, because we have a surprise coming for our nurses this week. So
Nice. All right.
they can wait with bated breath. Now they'll be looking around the corner every time they walk
Yes.
down the hallway.
We
But
won't let the cat out of the bag.
Not as
All
yet,
right.
but definitely, Sandy. Just to mention that we really appreciate all of the nurses, just because they're the majority of the healing process that happens within a hospital, and they're
Mhm.
some of the most, not if not the most, some of the most important persons within a hospital network. From the time you walk in the door to the time you leave, nurses are the ones that are there for you, and we just every day should be Nurses Day, but definitely just want to say a huge thank you to
Mhm.
all nurses across the Cayman Islands and the world that, especially even in the last 2 years, as you were mentioning, took on even more significance in the roles they've played in this pandemic as well.
Absolutely. Sabrina says, keep up the good work, Nurse Cheyenne. Seymour says, why are there less male nurses in the industry? Is it because of the stigma, being afraid to be considered gay, or is it just not for men? So this is interesting. I think it always does stand out a little bit when you see male nurses. And of course, there are male nurses, and I've had the pleasure of having them, whether it's take your vitals or whatever, but it does appear that it's definitely a female dominated environment. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but how many male do you guys have? A lot of male nurses at Health City, Shamari?
I mean, we have quite a few
Mhm.
male nurses. I think the industry potentially will have, how many would you say, Divya and Cheyenne? Is it 70% nurses in the industry
That are
or
that are
more
female?
Maybe
Yeah,
that
more.
are female?
yeah, maybe
Sorry,
females are more actually.
probably what,
Might
Maybe a
be,
80?
bit more
yeah,
than
might be more than 80% just
Okay,
females.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So I'm not
according to a
sure.
little bit of US labor stats, 12% of registered nurses are now men, but that's up from 2.7% in 1970. So
So
it's
we're
it's
making
increasing.
gains. We're making gains, and I
Yeah.
don't know, Sandy. I think some of it would have to be the stigma, just
Yeah.
because I recall even being a young man, probably 11, 12, that
Hmm.
in my mind, just because I'd only ever seen what I thought, and there may have been male nurses and I just didn't realize they were
Hmm.
nurses, but in my mind, nurses were always female. It wasn't until later in life that I had to, correct myself and realize that there were a lot of male nurses as well. And we even, within House City, and this is a young man that is going to nursing school now, Elman, who would have started through the Healthcare Explorers, coming through tours, shadow our doctor, and he then saw the male nurses at House
Hmm.
City and did a double take, and then started having conversations and shadowed one of them, and made the decision that he would become a nurse. Um,
Hmm.
I think it takes breaking down barriers for people to understand that it's a noble profession for both females and males, and hopefully we'll definitely get more males into the profession as well moving forward.
Yes. And more males and just minorities as a whole as well, because there is a sort of disparity there. Now, in terms of training, here's a trivia question for you. I hope you guys are paying attention. Where was the first nursing school in history located? So this is kind of, it might be a surprise to some of you, and then others go, yeah, that makes sense. So where was the first nursing school located? So Celine, 324-1612, or you can also reach the Bobo number at 936-2626 to inquire about your prize. Um, Emma says, I have a son, sorry, that's a male nurse and also a lab technician. Wonderful. Soka says, OMG, considered gay. That's a very tiny mind. So, yes, I think there is a little bit of a stigma that is, of course, just that. It's a stigma. But, male nurses are there and they make up, according to US stats anyway, 12% of the nursing profession. There's an actual American Association for Men in Nursing. So people, who want to get advice from other male nurses about entering the profession specifically can speak to others who have done so. And yeah, it's a noble profession. So who would not want to do that? And in her notes, here's something interesting. Florence Nightingale, in her 1860 text, Notes on Nursing, preface with assertion that every woman is a nurse. So I think there is this kind of um, understanding that nursing it tends to be a profession that's very maternal and caring, but of course men have those qualities as well, so definitely if you're interested in the profession, don't let anything stop you just because you're a minority or a man or whatever. There are tons of wonderful opportunities available in the nursing profession. So any guesses on
Sorry.
where? So somebody said New York. Gigi's guessing New York. Joy is guessing New York. No, I want you guys to think more globally as a country. So this is a country that we're looking for. And again, this trivia question is the first nursing school was located where? And I'm going to give you a year, which should help narrow it down just a little bit. It was 250 BC. So it was like a really long time ago. So think about, what would have existed that long ago. So America wasn't around in 250 BC. So you can leave out all of the places like New York and California and anywhere in probably North America. 250 BC. Very, very interesting. So Gigi says London. Nope. I don't even think the UK would have been. So Lulu's getting a little bit warmer. Greece, Africa, not the UK. I don't think the UK existed in 250 BC, folks. A little bit of history thrown in there for you as well. So Seymour is pretty close with Africa. Think about it just a little bit more. And so again, folks, International Nurses Day, Rome. Warm. I feel like I'm playing the game with my ta-da! There we go, Miss Joy. I was gonna say I'm playing with Gigi where you say warmer. Nope. Cold. Miss Joy has it. It's actually India, which kind of makes sense, right? So India had the first nursing school in history was actually located in India in 250 BC. Wow. Now that's interesting because what about this one? Here's another good, interesting trivia question for you. The first person to earn a nursing diploma in the United States, what year do you think that was? So, of course, now we're fast forwarding from 250 BC to quite modern times. What year did the first person, her name was Linda Richards, she obtained a nursing diploma in the US? When do you think that was? So nursing has had, folks, an amazing history. The first nursing school in the US was established in 1862, and it was called the New England Hospital for Women and Children. So lots of interesting trivia about nurses. And the first nurse in the New World in the early 1600s was Juan de Mena, who was a shipwreck survivor. And that was a man. So there you go. First nurse in the New World was actually a man named Juan de Mena. And as a shipwreck survivor, he was helping others. So any guesses as to the year that the first person actually earned a nursing diploma? So we're talking about the educational opportunities right here in the Cayman Islands. University College of the Cayman Islands has a school of nursing. Of course, there's also regional opportunities both in Jamaica and the US and other places abroad, but you don't have to go abroad if you don't want to. Asif says that Pakistan also has a great history of nursing. So absolutely. Good morning to Rachel. She was guessing Germany. Dawn comes in with the correct answer as 1873. So Dawn, reach out to us for your gift certificate this morning. That's right. The first person to earn a nursing diploma in the United States was Linda Richards in 1873. And now remember that that's after attending the New England Hospital for Women and Children, which is the first nursing school in the US, which was established in 1862. So I'm sure a lot has changed in the world of medicine and especially the world of nursing since then, but 1873 is the correct year. So Dawn came in first. Gigi was right on her tails with 1873 being the correct answer. Marshall, you're off there with 1927. But let's talk a little bit as we start to wrap up this morning's segment with our guests on the way forward in nursing. Is there anything exciting, Cheyenne and Divya, on the horizon for nursing, like technologically wise, or just anything that's happening that's new and innovative in the nursing profession?
Technology is evolving all the time,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in nursing or otherwise. And yes, we do have more things coming up. I think Shamar would be the best one to answer what's going on at Health City regarding those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely, and just to mention that technology is always a major component of everything that we're doing, and as time evolves, then you know that technology starts to play more and more of a role. So, for instance, we have the Da Vinci robot Sandy that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. That's
Mm-hmm.
minimally invasive, that allows you to actually ensure that your patients can have a quicker recovery and leave and have minimal issues when it comes to pain and otherwise. And we look forward to actually having those conversations. But as Nurse Shannon and Nurse Divya would let you know that with all of the advent of technology, you'll never get away from that human touch of needing nurses to be there to care for you, even if it's in limited time frames for versus longer time frames. That human touch will always be there, and that human element will always be there when it comes to healing as well.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So here's an interesting thing. I'm gonna post this link because I think everybody should read Miss Nightingale's work here. But one of the she says she did a whole she wrote a lot. This book is very very interesting. This is called Notes on Nursing: What It Is and What It Is Not by Florence Nightingale. This is back in 1860. Um, so, one of the things she said is the first rule of nursing is to keep the air within as pure as the air without. So, super interesting that she was talking about the importance of proper ventilation, opening windows, letting fresh air in. And isn't that amazing? Because even in times like COVID, we know that one of the ways in which to fight COVID, even if you have an infection in your home, is to open up those windows, folks. Get in some fresh air, allow the breeze to come in and circulate and pull the germs out. Proper ventilation for businesses and so on, who are now trying to, on an ongoing basis, manage people working, in their institutions. So very, very interesting, important ventilation. And of course, we know that, in hospitals, things like ventilation is also one of the key things that in their design of any modern day hospital that they would be looking at. So super interesting. Florence Nightingale had a lot of great ideas back in the day. So Asif says, what can be done for the future that nurses will work independently and as an autonomous body? Unfortunately, in most of the countries, the profession is degraded, and we should think about this. So again, sort of nurses coming together and working, as a team and more cohesively, and having. Is there a nurses association in Cayman, by the way?
I
Yes.
am, yeah.
There is, yeah. So the other thing, as I was reading Asif's comment, is that as technology evolves, you're talking about a robot, and there's certain things that now can be automated. I have to wonder, is the nursing profession being encroached on in any way by technology, by robotics, and so forth? Your thoughts, really, Divya? Do you ever see a robot taking your job? So might
No.
be a real serious. No, you're like, nope, can't do it.
So you still need that human touch to get, you know, so that the people get more satisfied. They feel that they get the proper care when they are in the hospital.
Hmm.
You
Even though
can't
robotics are there, we still need that human touch. That's what.
Yes,
you can't
absolutely.
replicate the warmth and the compassion and the understanding
Yeah,
and the communication that goes on.
yeah.
And those are the
Yeah,
things we need to build the trust with the patient.
absolutely. And Miss Ahsoka here is giving her thoughts. She said, I couldn't be a nurse, so God bless them. I don't like touching people. So it's not a profession for everyone. And I think Cheyenne shared earlier, as well as Divya, some of the personality traits that it takes to be a nurse. And of course, if you're thinking about entering this noble profession, think about those things and make sure that you have the personality. Because trust me, there's nothing worse than having a grumpy nurse at your bedside. But there's so many wonderful nurses out there. And let's perhaps end the program today with a beautiful quote from Mary Seacole, where she said, and the grateful words and smile which reward me for binding up a wound or giving a cooling drink was a pleasure worth risking my life for at any time. So again, that appreciation, folks, as we are celebrating International Nurses Day, which is part of Nurses Week, allows you across the globe, and particularly here in the Cayman Islands, to send a little bit of love and appreciation to your nurses who are extremely committed to their job. They provide compassionate care to all types of situations. As you know, from the second you go into like an emergency room environment, normally the first person that you're going to have contact with is your intake nurse, who will, do take all of your vitals and check all the information before you even get to physician. And when you're hospitalized, chances are you're going to see the nurse more than you will see the physician. The physician will come in, perhaps make some notes on your charts, and it's the nurses that are ensuring that all of those details are being attended to. So maternity, anyone who's ever had a baby will know how to appreciate maternity ward nurses, because they, again, are absolutely amazing. Midwives are amazing. And they take care of you and your baby at one of your most, vulnerable stages in life. So big shout out to all of the nurses working in the NICU, the emergency rooms, the surgical wards across the Cayman Islands, and again, particularly at Health City. Shamari?
Yep, just want to once again ditto to everything you said, and thank you all for everything you do. Nurse Divya, Nurse Shian, thank you both, and to all of the nurses across the Cayman Islands, a huge thank you for everything you do. You wake up and you change lives, one life at a time, every single day.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's Cheyenne Taylor. Again, she's a nurse at the Cayman Islands Health City. She obtained her bachelor's in 2017. And she actually was introduced to Health City via the Healthcare Explorers program. So this is clearly a program that is working. So if you have any young people interested, send them over there for that program. I'm sure Shamari will tell us more about when they're doing some more intakes for that. And she served in the outpatient department for 3 years. And now she's transferred to the emergency room and urgent care centers as of 2021. So thank you to Cheyenne, registered nurse extraordinaire. We also had joining us today Ms. Diva, and Ms. Diva is also a registered nurse at Health City, and she has been there for over a year. And she graduated in 2007 after completing her full scope of studies and internships from the Medical Trust Hospital based in India. So again, she has served as a nurse in India for a number of years, and she also worked in Singapore for over 8 years, building up her professional expertise and care. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today, and enjoy International Nurses Day when it comes and the rest of your week.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And we just want to say thanks to Health City for giving us this opportunity or this platform to share some of our views. And we wish all the nurses all over the world a happy Nurses Day. And thank you, Sandy, for having a wonderful morning.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, thank you so much. And Shamari, we're going to see you next week, I'm sure. If you're not traveling, you'll be here with us.
I'm here with you.
Okay, wonderful. So every single Tuesday, folks, it's Medical Rundown with Health City. Ensure that you guys tune in. It's always very, very educational and a little bit of fun as well. And let's not forget that Health City, folks, has opened recently a Camana Bay location. Of course, they're expanding that. They're going to have an amazing facility there. And as they get closer to, expanding their services at Camana Bay and opening the full-scale facility, we'll learn a little bit more about that. But watch this quick video about what they've been up to.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now, focused on connectivity and collaboration, our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Camana Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Camana Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment, And now, Health City Camana Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Camana Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Camana Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City Camana Bay.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth. Happy Tuesday. Again, big shout out to the folks over at Health City who join us every single Tuesday morning from 7:30 till about 8:30 here on Bobo 89.1 FM and, of course, CMR on our YouTube and Facebook channels. So lots going on in the community. I feel like we need to wrap up a couple things. Asif says, thanks a lot for such a platform. You're most welcome. Good morning to Tommy. Thank you so much for joining in. So we got a lot to talk about, y'all. Now, first of all, we have just received word that someone has passed away. And, although we're on top of it, and I'm pretty sure that this information is 1,000% correct, we're not going to tell you who the person is yet, but it is someone of note. Listen, we have to appreciate our elderly folks in the community because they are elderly. And so once you hit 70s, 80s, 90s, or beyond, we had a senior, 104 years old the other day, pass away. It's amazing to be able to live to that age. But of course, it also means that unfortunately, it's challenging because at some point, just age is going to catch you. And that's why one of the projects here that we're working on CMR, and I'm hoping to be able to get to an interview today, is that we will be able to, just interview more of our elderly community and get some of their stories and just capture some of that absolutely amazing history. It's critical that we do it. And every single time a certain person passes away that was on my list, I'm like, oh my God, yes, we gotta expedite it. And of course, you never know when somebody's time is up on this earth, but probably by the end of the program, I might be in a position to really confirm with you all that this person has passed away. Wow. All right, folks. So let's talk about a few things that's happening in the community. So yesterday's show was interesting, and of course, we know that CNS came on news service with Wendy Ledger, followed up her story, and she published her own version of it. And she was able to get a little bit more officially out of the powers that be than we were. I think somebody was trying to downplay this as, oh, there's really no story here. And, sometimes that's the narrative that they want you to go with. And of course, we're talking about the situation with Dr. Tasha Garcia overseas. And if there's no story here, it gains no traction. Nobody looks bad, and it's not a big deal. But seems like there was a story here because now they are admitting, they are admitting to CNS that the matter is being looked into, and that apparently, they're going to sort it out. So they said official sources told CNS on Monday that the situation was now being addressed. What a mess. So everybody's a bit puzzled by this. Like I had people up to this morning saying that, she's a Caymanian. She's entitled to her passport. Why didn't she ever get it? And they said, how did she get government scholarships and go through all these years as a Caymanian living here on a Canadian passport? And it's bizarre. I can't say that I understand it. It's different. I guess as someone, and I wanted to say this because someone said to me yesterday, but you and her are in the same situation. I'm like, excuse me, I've never had anything but a Cayman passport. So let's be very, very clear. I was born in the Cayman Islands back in the early 70s. And so back in those days, that's the only passport you had. And I had a Cayman passport. And when a UK passport became available, I do have a UK passport as well, a BOTC passport, but I don't have any other passport. I don't have any other residency anywhere else in the world. So I'm not really sure that people understood that. And really the point is about accountability. So I was saying to this person as well, we're not trying to drown poor Dr. Tasha here, but someone else in government was saying to me, Sandy, it's interesting that we're trying to blame the senior level civil servants, which they are ultimately the employer and they're responsible. But what about Dr. Tasha? Did she not realize that, hey, I don't even have a BOTC passport? Because of course, applying for that passport is completely her responsibility. Your employer isn't going to go and apply for a passport on your behalf. Although they should have been the ones to give you the checklist and to ensure that you actually had it. You likewise, as the employee, have a responsibility. So let me talk about this, and then I've got some people who want to talk about Bada Banu, child. Woo! Honey, child, we got some complaints about the Bada Banu parade this weekend. So, we'll talk about it if that's what you guys want to talk about. But let me say this first and foremost, that there's scams going on all over the world. And I'm sure that you guys have seen the ones in Cayman. So just last week, and they're always up, really. There was a scam up about, do you want to work in the Cayman Islands? So here's one of them that was posted. And they find these obscure social media groups. So this one says, do you have a passport and want to work in the Cayman Islands? Apply now for 6 months temporary work permit for only US $600. Get approved in less than a week, recruiting 100 persons for available vacancies. Now, first of all, anytime you see these little grammatical and, some of them can't even spell Cayman errors, you have to be cautious and cognizant of the fact that these things are fake. They can't even spell a country name right. But then again, maybe you're overseas and you yourself don't know how to spell the country name. So that may not be the best indication of, hey, you need to be on the lookout for this type of fraudulent activity. Folks, someone is always looking to separate you from your hard-earned money. That's a fact, right? And there's a fraudster born every second of the day. And there's somebody out there who's trying to, just make it easy through life. And they're always about separating you from your money. So let me just warn you that whoever these individuals are, this is not a legitimate scheme. This is not how you obtain a work permit in the Cayman Islands. You don't pay somebody for your work permit. Now, I know there's a lot of shady people around the place. And in fact, just yesterday, I had someone lodging a complaint with me about an individual who's running a company who is making people pay for work permit, and then they can't even get the work permit approved, and there are no jobs available. And when people are asking for a refund and for their money back, lo and behold, they can't get their money back. Do not pay for your work permit and do not allow any quote unquote person or organization to tell you that you have to pay for a work permit. Number one, it's against the law. So you should be aware of that. So this person yesterday said to me, oh, I didn't know that it was against the law until I got here, or I found out a little bit more about the island and how things work. And that's really, really unfortunate, because there are, again, people who are simply straight up scamming you out of your money. There's no other logical explanation for what it is that they're doing. And so I really implore you to do your respective research, to ask questions. If you're new to the Cayman Islands and you're not sure how this works, ask questions of other people, because other people will be able to tell you. So this is a scam. I notice how they have, someone there holding a tray as though, it's in the, I guess, the food and beverage. So they say that jobs available, and they have all these housekeeping, receptionists, servers, chefs, elderly care, security, and construction. And of course, there are job opportunities available here in the Cayman Islands, without a doubt. I've got this guy in Cuba who keeps messaging me every single day. He's a doctor, and he's like, how do I come and work in the Cayman Islands? I'm like, dude, I'm not an employment agency. You can contact an employment agency, or you can contact employers directly to see if they have any opportunities available for you. But anytime you see these ads promising you a job, if you just send them your money, I would really, really caution you, because every single one of these ads are fake. And there's another website called I Need a Job Jamaica. And it's not a website, it's a Facebook group. And so a lot of people are part of that Facebook group, my apologies. And here's their ad. And again, it says, do you need a passport to work in the Cayman Islands? We assist persons in getting work permits. Send your resume. Now look closely at the email address. It says Cayman. So they can't even spell Cayman right. They have Cayman misspelled. Workpermit@gmail.com. Folks, this is not legit. They're misusing logos from legitimate organizations in an attempt to legitimize their scam. So if you notice, they have the Jamaican consulate of the Cayman Islands logo on here. That's fake. They have, I don't know who Heart NSTA Trust is of Jamaica, but again, I'm sure that they're misusing these logos. Look at the bottom, 100 workers are needed in the Cayman Islands. That's, I don't know if that's true or not, but I can assure you that this is fake. Just like the other ad that I was just showing you. So do not fall for these schemes, folks. The other one is kind of interesting. And notice they always have these foreign numbers. So this one has a 212 number. Where's 212 area code, by the way? 212. Is that, where is that? 212 is New York. Huh. Do you think if we called them that they would actually answer the phone? I'm curious. Hold on one second now. I feel like we could call them and see what's really going on. Let's see. Do you think we should call them? There were some real scammers out there, folks. So let's give them a call. 212. So we got 212. What's the rest of the number here? But I'm curious to see what they're going to tell you. So 212-202-0309. All right, let's give them a call. Let's pretend like we're looking for a job in the Cayman Islands. Let's see if they're going to answer the phone. Do scammers tend to wake up early? Well, folks, they don't answer the phone, so they're not up. They also have an alternative number out of Jamaica. Let's try that one and see if they're going to answer that one. 876-995-0870. So scammers are that lazy? They're going to go to all this trouble and then not even answer the phone?
Sorry, but the person you have called is unavailable.
Not answering. So Sabrina says maybe if they're seeing a Cayman number, they're not going to answer. So the first number I was calling New York, I was actually using my US number to call that, and they didn't answer. So yeah, scammers are either sleeping in late because they've already earned enough money for the day, separating people from their hard-earned money, or maybe they know that we're onto them. So where is the I'm trying to remember in the iPhone, where can you hide your number? Where is that feature again? I can never remember where this is. Because of course I don't answer unknown numbers. You know when it says no caller ID? I'm like, nope. Don't know who you are. If you don't want to show me your number, then I'm not answering the phone. But I'm trying to remember, maybe if I turn that off and then let me see if I can figure it out real quick. All right. So yep, these scammers are on iPhone. Let me try and see where that is. So that is in settings, and then you tap on phone. So we go to settings and we go to phone. Aha. And then we go to show my caller ID. And we're going to turn that off. So let's turn it off and try calling the Jamaica number again and see what happens. Barry says, Blackberry says, they're probably listening to your show.
Hello.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
I'm interested in your job advert to work in Cayman.
Are you calling on a private number?
I don't know. This was listed in the advert, so I'm not sure. I should call another number.
I'm saying you're calling on a private number.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you have the WhatsApp number for the company?
Is this the WhatsApp number I should message in WhatsApp?
Yes, you could send a text to the WhatsApp number. The number is 510 1720.
510 1720. And can you tell me? What should I tell them? Tell me a little bit about how it works. I'm not really sure.
Come on. So I'm not in the office currently, man. They will get to you. Just send them a text and they send them some information.
Okay. All right. And what are the office hours? I know.
Yeah, it's 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So that one answered the phone, you see? So it looks like you're right. Like when they saw Cayman number, they're like, well, nobody in Cayman is actually looking for a job. So, it makes me wonder though, are the authorities working on, I know it would be a full-time job for their fraud department, but are they working to stop any of these people at all? Now here's what's interesting about this. That number that he just gave, 876-651, 1720, is the same number that's in this other ad by Nivea Jackson, I need a job in Jamaica. So isn't that interesting? These fake ads are actually connected. Look here now. Little detective work here. So the telephone number that he just gave, which ends in 1720, is the number that is on this other fake ad over here. See it right there? What's up? And it says you can call 995. Now, what number was he on just now? What number did we just call? Let me just see. Child, I can't remember. Hold on. Yes. So these two are connected. So this scam and this scam are basically the same scammer. See the number there, 0870? And then it shows up on this one as well. So he tells you to call, and then they have a separate WhatsApp number. The local authorities need to get a hold of these people because obviously the man answering his phone. But what are they going to do? Jamaica is so inundated already with scammers. They got the scammers trying to. This is like the latest scam though, because remember they would always be calling people and trying to separate you with your money. Now it's a situation where the old people are no longer always the target for those lotto scams where they claim that you got all kind of you won the lottery and you must send them this money and that and whatever. They've been really wreaking havoc on old people. Now they're going after the job market because people are so desperate for employment all over the world. But there's a lot of clues here that this is fraudulent activity. First of all, they claim that rent in Cayman is $400 a month. Rent where? In a crab hole? Because you ain't getting nowhere in Cayman. You can't even get a room in Cayman anymore for $400 a month. I hear ridiculous stories recently of people wanting you to share a room and practically a bed with somebody else for $600 and $700 where you have no privacy. So they say rent is $400 a month. Your salary is going to be $20 per hour paid fortnightly. And you need a passport, police record, and qualifications. Well, at least they pretend like you need something. So the bottom line, folks, is just don't fall for this. This is fake. Janet says I needed to speak like a Jamaican when you call in. No, you see, you can't fool a real Jamaican with a fake Jamaican accent. He would have known I wasn't a Jamaican. So I thought, well, because it occurred to me, right? But a real Jamaican could be like, listen, what kind of fake business that is. So I needed to probably have this is when I need to call my sister Carmely, who's the real Jamaican in the family, and be like, put on that patois and make a little phone call for me. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to pull that off. So Blackberry says that he sounds like he was sleeping. Yes, I'm telling you, the world of scammers, they enjoy quite an interesting life. So Irvlin says that they have an office set up. Well, according to them, yeah. A lot of scammers come out of Jamaica. No authorities is going to look into it because they're part of the scheme. Shameful. Jared should do the talking. Where's Jared? So the problem with WhatsApp now, let me tell you a little bit of tech secret here. I don't know if you've noticed this, but WhatsApp has made some changes recently. So before, when you called someone on WhatsApp, it would always just have the number, right? Now it has whatever name you have as your WhatsApp name. So you got to be careful and change your WhatsApp name if you are interested in, so let me see now if I can pull this one off. So that means that I have to go into WhatsApp, and right now I have the cold hard truth as my name in WhatsApp. So I would have to change that because if I call them, they're going to see that, right? So let me change it to what should our name be? Well, we'll change it to something that makes us sound like we're in Kingston. So but let's put like sexy. Well, should we put sexy 876? That might make us sound more legit. Sexy 876 gal. Okay. Jared, where are you this morning? Oh my goodness. So we're gonna edit this. Now don't y'all be messaging me right now and be like, why does the cold hard truth number say? Okay, successfully updated your business name to sexy 876 gal. All right, so let's now we have to call them. I think we have to save the number, right? So give me a second. Good morning, Melissa. How are you? So the WhatsApp number is 876. So hold on. We're gonna save them as scammers. That's what we'll save them in the phone as scammers, so we know. All right. 1-876 510 1720. All right. Now let's see if we can call them. All right. And then we're going to get onto this bad Banu conversation because it seems like some of y'all are interested in this one. So let's see if we call them on WhatsApp if they're going to answer the phone. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're directing you to WhatsApp calling, that alone should be an indication that something is up. So let us give them a call on WhatsApp and see what happens. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Oh yes. This is Sandy's sister, Jamaican extraordinaire at Carmele on the phone. So Carmele, we need your best Jamaican accent this morning. Clear your throat.
What's up?
We're trying to have you call one of these job scammers and find out what they're going to tell you about what you need to do. All right, so let's see if we can call them. Now I'm going to call I was trying to call the WhatsApp number that he gave us, but of course nobody's answering that. So I'm going to call this guy back again. I'm going to join the call and I'm not going to say anything, but I want you to talk to him. Yes?
Okay.
All right, so hold on. You got your Jamaican accent ready?
I don't know, but I'll try.
All right, hold on one second now. Let's see if we can do it.
Sorry, but the person you have.
He looked like he went back to sleep, honey child. Hold on one second. Let's try the other number. Let's try the WhatsApp number straight and see if they'll call, if they're answering. They must be all sleeping. Hold on. So we're going to add a call. 876-995-0870.
Sorry, but the person you have.
Nope. Sounds like they're not working this morning, my dear, but thank you for calling and being willing to assist us. But sounds like they all still sleeping or they earned enough money scamming people already.
They need to stop their foolishness stuff.
Thanks, my dear. Appreciate it.
Okay, not a problem.
So, folks, no, they're not grabbing the bite this morning. So they're either sleeping or they've earned enough money that they can all relax for the day. But we'll send them a WhatsApp message. So DJ Trucking says that he didn't sound Jamaican. No, man, he there's a Jamaican accent there. Evelyn says your accent is too decent. They're going to catch up and hang up on you. He got tip off already, maybe, because we do have a lot of people listening to the show. So they're probably texting each other right now. Don't answer that call. Yes, he's probably screening the call. Says BlackBerry. They get a little bit suspicious when you ask about the private number. Well, he was the one saying something. Oh, yes, because we had her number private. Yes, Jan, he's probably listening to the show. But anyway, folks, bottom line is do not fall for this scam. People are always, like I said, looking to separate you from your hard-earned money. You work too hard for it. There are legitimate opportunities to work in the Cayman Islands. You don't have to go through a scammer who's not going to find you any job and is going to take your money in the end, right? So for the person who messaged me yesterday about the local scammer and the person who took their money, we're going to look into that a little bit more. So essentially what that person said to me yesterday is that this person took a substantial amount of money from them and their mother and have yet to pay it back, claiming that they were going to get them a work permit and all now, no work permit to be had. So they've sent the photo and everything of this individual. We're going to do a couple little checks before I let you know exactly who they are. But needless to say, there are people right here in the Cayman Islands who are doing it. And those are the people that it should be quite easy for immigration to get a hold of. But a lot of people are afraid to come forward once they recognize that they have been hoodwinked. They themselves are then afraid to come forward and to speak up and to file an official complaint with the authorities. But that's exactly what you need to do. Because, if they scam you out of $1,200, $1,000, and they turn around and scam your mom, they're making thousands of dollars potentially each month, scamming people with no real job prospects or no real job opportunities. So, quite unfortunate. All right, folks. Right. Okay. So I'm just trying to confirm this death for you. And in the meantime, let's talk about Bada Banu. So we got a question this morning, a comment that says, ask Sandra when we going to discuss the failing Bada Banu. Well, I guess I didn't know it was failing because I don't really participate. And quite a few people said, yes, please talk about it. So tell me what is going on. Somebody else says it needs to be discussed, to be honest. So I sent out in my WhatsApp news group. Somebody said, spill the tea. But y'all need to tell me because I'm not out there winding up on people and dancing in Bada Banu. What's the tea? What's going on? This is one of those areas that I'm afraid that I need the public's assistance because I don't personally participate in Bada Banu. So I don't know. What go on? What happened? What's the deal here? So someone says, yes, please. Everyone I know is complaining about it, soon losing the old tradition of ours, this old tradition of ours. Well, there'll be a lot of people who will tell you that Bada Banu not Cayman tradition anyway. I heard an older head saying this to me the other day, and they were like, Bada Banu not Caymanian, but it's something that we have adopted as of late, I suppose. Carnival traditionally is not Caymanian, but here we are. So what is it exactly that is the issue? What's going on? Is there not enough booty shaking happening, or what happened? So it seems like there is a general consensus that people are unhappy, but I need to hear the details about why you're unhappy. What is it with Bada Banu that wasn't good this year? So someone said something about the route was not the same route that they did last year. I did hear someone else say to me, I think it was over the weekend, to tell the minister, which I believe would be Minister Brian, and I don't know what control he has over this, that maybe the two carnivals need to get back together because people feel like the carnival world has suffered because you've got K-Mass and you've got Bada Banu. And so they are in direct competition with each other. So someone posted, I see one. Oh, here we go. We'll piggyback off of Luigi's social media posts. And this is what Luigi had to say. And then there's tons of comments. So Luigi, big shout out to Luigi this morning. Thanks for some of the details that we're going to use to have this discussion, because honestly, I don't know anything about Carnival. I'd be the first to admit it. So Luigi says, Bada Banu, worst Carnival weekend ever in Cayman. So damn shameful. No vibes, no costumes, event flop, no culture, and certainly not Cayman kind. Hashtag last lap, hashtag last laugh, hashtag Bada Banu. What? It's this serious? Okay. Well, let me go to Facebook because this is where all the discussions are happening, folks. If you're not on social media, sometimes you're just missing out. We're here bringing it to you. 93626 is the number. If you wish to tell us about your Bada Banu experience, what happened? Why is it a Bada Banu? All right. That was Luigi's comment, and Luigi's comment actually garnished a number of 68 comments. So let's see what people had to say. Uh-huh. So Melinda says Bad Banu is boring now. They're cheap. They can't bring real soca artists anymore. It gets dry and dry every year. It's not even colorful like years ago. The t-shirts and panties wearing Cayman Carnival got to be the worst carnival ever. I said it. Somebody else said, I barely watch, and I said the same thing. Where are all the beautiful costumes? So one complaint appears to be the lack of costumes. Okay. Someone else weighing in here, Ari says Bada Banu board needs change. Until then, nothing will get any better. People need to learn when to make way for fresher ideas. How many ideas can you have around carnival though? I mean, it's kind of, isn't it more or less the same thing? Like the only thing that might change are the artists, and I suppose the designs, but even the route becomes the same. I mean, how do you spice up carnival? Uh DJ XS says, sad to hear this, bro. When I was on island, it was the event of the year. So someone else says Bracknell is this weekend in Kim and Brack. Who's going? By the way, anybody thinking about the fact that our COVID numbers are on the increase, including on the sister islands in Kim and Brack? And you know, these are super spreader events. So Danny says maybe it's time to merge KMAS and Badabanu. And Denny says, or stop the COVID-19 regulations. Is it the COVID-19 regulations that made this a flop? It seems like people are saying that it doesn't have anything to do with it. So Rochelle says the regulations have nothing to do with this. In fact, Denny, to your point about the COVID regulations, the regulations have been lifted with outdoor spaces. So outdoor functions, you can have as many people as you want. So that doesn't have anything to do with it. So this person, Brad, has a very creative idea. So Brad says, responding to Danny about combining the two, he said, what if we do Badamas or Cabano to combine the names? Oh, gosh. So El Rey says maybe the event, but not the groups. Danny also says that KMAS has developed an excellent brand worldwide. Retire Badabanu and go with KMAS. Together we will win. So this is very, very interesting because if you, oh, thank you so much. So someone said that Badabanu is actually under culture, not tourism. So that doesn't have anything to do with Minister Brian. That is Minister Bernie. Was Minister Bernie out there supporting Badabanu, by the way? So that's super interesting. Bit of clarification. Thank you so much to that listener to the program. So what's the idea here? Well, people are saying combine the two. Where's Festa? Is Festa awake yet? Craig, is he awake? You know, he has a different schedule than the rest of us. So I'm kind of curious to know what the solution is here. Or has someone said, is it time to just make it die a natural death? Is this the way of the world? This is how things work. Let's see what some of the other comments are. So Sarah Sue says, I said the same aside from Bracknell. I will be going overseas to experience the real carnival filled with culture and beautiful costumes. Anybody want to experience Jab Jab with me? Where's Jab Jab? I don't know what country that is. Someone says come to Trinidad and Brazil. You know, and again, those countries have, you know, that is their culture. You know what I'm saying? I think Cayman has tried to adopt carnival as a culture, but if it isn't our culture, maybe we just not getting it right after all these years. I don't know. Jolie also agrees. She says it was. You're right. The ending of the parade took us out, says somebody else. I don't know what that means. Cass said the problem is there's no unity. Paul says KMAS is coming and Trinidad Carnival is on for 2023. Wow. What a mess. So Bracknell and Cayman Brac is this weekend. Normally that's a good weekend for the Brac in the sense that all of the accommodations are filled, all of the car rental places are filled. There's nothing to do. Kelly also agrees that I'd have to agree with you. It was pretty embarrassing. Lisa says, I saw only a small bit and it looked so messy. Marva is endorsing the comments 100%. Wow. And Rob is asking who came up with the route this year. And El Rey shares that the route was a disaster with traffic when they got to the Camana Bay roundabout. Someone else says, it was odd that folks were crickets about the event. Maybe there was a reason. So I don't know. Y'all gonna tell me division? Aaron says the division between Bad Banu and KMAS has got to stop. We're too small. Point blank. Period. So is that the issue that somebody else is giving him competition? Well, Luigi doesn't agree with that. Luigi says it's not about the division between them that has to stop. There's several reasons that KMAS and others have ventured into establishing more mass bands, camps, and organized carnival experiences. Bada Banu did it to themselves. A lot of people have tried to support and sponsor, trust, and invest in supporting what Bada Banu is supposed to be and represent. So I certainly don't blame others for pursuing their own opportunities to create and fill that void for Cayman truly experiencing the spirit culture of the Caribbean carnival experience. And then in response to that, Aaron says, I agree. Admittedly, the post was just a vent. I'm definitely not trying to suggest that KMAS shouldn't have been created. I don't blame them either. It's clear which has become the better product and which vision has more support. More so just expressing frustration that it has come to that. It's such a shame because it's such a poor example. I hope that that offers no suggested solution. Without getting into the politics of it all, I'm just merely wishing we could all just get along. Very, very interesting. And we see this happening on occasions with competing events. And so, I understand that the directors of KMAS have voted that they would have no discussion on the topic of carnival. So they're just going to move on with their events, and that's it. Wow. So here's somebody else that says, was told that there's actually 3 carnivals now. There's Bada Banu, KMAS, and now Renegade Mass. It's definitely need to be discussed as it's affecting our tourism product. I stopped Kenneth and told him that we need to discuss it as it falls under his portfolio. And he said it falls under culture. This needs to be addressed urgently. So, yes, I've got confirmation that this is not a tourism thing. This is actually culture. So that would be Minister Bernie Bush. So get Minister Bush on the table to have the discussion. So someone says that Donna Myrie won't be giving up Bada Banu. That's her baby. And the reason for the split was a falling out between her and Craig. Well, personalities get in the mix, folks. And unfortunately, with personalities in the mix, what ends up happening is that, I guess things suffer, including the product. So someone has sent me some pictures. Are these from Bada Banu? I don't know. Like I said, I did not even, someone messaged me on Saturday and they said, are you going to be covering the event? And I was like, nope, I'm not going to be there. To be honest, I almost forgot that it was Bada Banu until a couple days before. What a mess. Even El Rey, who is I'll show you a picture that he shared here. He is a, what do you call people? Reveler? People who participate in Bada Banu. So he enjoys going out there and putting on his little skimpy bikini and participating in the event. And he has even commented on social media that he has to admit, here's a photo from the event. He said, yep, I must admit Bada Banu was lame this year. One real band, and that was Tribal. And I saw the lead band had about 5 people in it. So let me try to understand this because, like I said, I'm no carnival expert. So within carnival, you have different bands, right? Who like I guess tribal is one. They come up with different names, whatever, and they're actually leading a section of the parade, and then they actually compete against each other as well. I believe that's how it works. Like I said, don't take it from me because I'm definitely not an expert in this area. And so he says that they only had one real band, and that was tribal, and the lead band had about 5 people. So, of course, the idea is that you want to have a good, probably 25, 30 people in each section, and they're all, got all their costumes and whatever on. But based on this photo, and again, this might not be a full representation of what occurred at the event, there's more people on the sidelines watching the parade than people who are actually participating in it, which is most unfortunate. Jessica says, I guess I'm glad that I missed it. Everybody says, Luana also says it started ever since it was divided between Badabanu and K-Mass, which is super shameful because Carnival should be about unity. This year was sad to watch. Wow. So the general consensus is it was not good. Anik said the most water I ever see drink is in Carnival. They had us more dehydrated. Wow. Sherry says pure rubbish. Whatever happened to the sea of amazing costumes and jumpers that once was? I brought my daughter for the first time. It was a huge disappointment. Tony says it's actually sad. They need to stop this 2 carnival foolishness. It ruined the entire event. So people are trying to blame it on the 2 carnivals. Janet says, yep, I heard some comments that it was bad. And that's just who's bad. Another person says they're glad they didn't come home for Carnival. Melinda says anyone can explain the evil horn costumes. Is that the boogeyman that we're supposed to be afraid of growing up? I don't get it. Oh, okay. So someone did send these to me and I wasn't sure what they were, if they were part of this situation or what. But yes, okay. So this is for those of you who are watching online, these are the evil horn costumes that they're talking about. Was there more than one of these? It looks like there might have been 2. But here we go. For those of you like me who have no idea what they're talking about. This is the evil horn costume. Look at that. Okay. Yes, what was it? What was the theme? Do these carnivals have a theme each year? And maybe that was related to the theme? I don't honestly know. So someone said, as I understand the reason for Renegade Mass is Craig and John are falling out. Another one? Honestly, Badabanu was not marketed properly. And Craig Swanke drew the crowd. So wait a minute. There's going to be a 3rd carnival? Are y'all kidding me? Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like this is gonna get too crazy now. And the unfortunate thing about it is I'm not saying that you can't have separate carnivals, but I think what does happen is you do dilute you do dilute what you're offering and you force people to choose. You force people to choose between one or the other, and it's normally personality driven. So I don't know, just super crazy to me that any of this is even happening. So Renegade has confirmed that he doesn't have no road carnival. They just have an event weekend. So that's separate from, I don't understand. So listen, I guess there's events are leading up to these different carnivals, and it just sounds like a hot mess. Your comments include, let's go back here. Gabby says the governor was there. Ooh, yes, sir. Gabby says, for not having it for 2 years, I think it was good. I had fun. Can't please everybody. Sabrina says, it's that serious? I guess. So Marshall says, my sister told me that they didn't make it into town. It went to Camana Bay. So the route was supposed to be where? Behind Cost-U-Less and then all the way to town, and they only made it to Camana Bay. Well, Camana Bay is like right next to Cost-U-Less, so that didn't go very far. Sherry Ann says Donna Myrie needs to be back in charge of the carnival. Yes, what persons are saying is true. The route was garbage, and they need the town walk back. Camana Bay is not central Georgetown. Put it in the back from 7 Mile Beach to town. Put it back from 7 Mile Beach to town. But isn't she, you say that she needs to be back in charge of the carnival, but she is. Isn't she in charge of Batabanoo? So that was her event this weekend. So Gabby says, do you know how much these costumes cost? Some people probably can't even afford them. I was with Fet for Cause for Cancer Society. It was only $50 to get my shirt and unlimited drinks. Well, how much do the costumes cost? Good morning. Another Gabby's joining us. Good morning, Gabby. So Grenada is jab jab. Okay, never heard of that before. Gabby says, honestly, combining the events won't make any sense as a reason for Renegade Mass and K-Mass is the bad blood between the two. So what is what is Renegade Mass? So it's not a full carnival, it's just an event? I'm thoroughly confused by all this. It sounds like a bunch of craziness to me, and y'all need to be focused on other stuff. So we kick off K-Mass. There's no bad blood. So this is Renegade himself confirming that there's no bad blood. Where is that rumor coming from? He says we kick off K-Mass and there's no bad blood. So all kind of mixed up stories going on around here. So there's Batabanoo, K-Mass, Renegade Mass, and Bracanal. But from the horse's mouth, Renegade said no bad blood. I ain't got nothing to do with him. He is here for the fun of Carnival, and they are kicking off. So there's not 4 carnivals. He's saying that his Renegade Mass is just a kickoff to K-Mass. It's an event. So it's not a carnival. Because people are saying last year they had their own parade. I'm a hella confused, y'all. I don't know what's going on, I must admit, about this Renegade Mass and this one mask and that one mask and K mask and who knows what kind of mask, and y'all need to get it together. That's all I can tell you. But tourists do look forward to these events, by the way. They seem to enjoy them. Gabby says that she was very disappointed in the output of the carnival. The other Gabby says, not to mention there are millions of people, and people sign up in the thousands. Aliano says the problem is always execution, poorly planned, only a select number of people. What is that word? Something together. There is no theme, but hey, it's whatever to me. I hate Soca. # trash. Gabby Watson says the fact that the route honestly didn't make any sense and it inconvenienced so many drivers. I thought the whole idea was to close off a section of the road so that the drivers wouldn't be inconvenienced by the route. Respo Road was jammed to the nuts, says Gabby. No artist was brought down. Didn't they bring someone? I thought they brought someone down, actually. But I guess if y'all don't know anything about it, it wasn't advertised very well. What a mess. Marshall says nobody can work with Donna Myrie. That's why there's it's been a split. Wow. Well, it seems to me, folks, if you guys want to save Batabanoo, this is the Batabanoo committee now. Y'all need to start No, sir. What a bunch of confusion. Is this indicative of what's happening elsewhere in the Cayman Islands? It's not a culture thing anymore. It's a money-making thing, says Darlene. So the poor people cannot afford to join. And those are the people that can dance and put a real show and live up the parade. Marshall says costumes are going for $500, and that's ridiculous. No, sir. $500, that's grocery for at least a week and a half, depending on the size of your family. Vierka says that there's a Dominican carnival. Where? In Cayman? What a mess. So Renegade is at the end of May. I think he's going to call in and clarify what the link is, what's going on, so we can have an understanding of exactly what's shaking. All right, here we go. Renegade telling us the full scoop. Good morning, Renegade. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So we're all confused by what people are saying. It seems like the general consensus is they weren't happy about the event this weekend. And then people started talking about the different carnivals. So they've mentioned Renegade Mass. Tell us what Renegade Mass is. Do you have a separate carnival of your own now?
Here's what happened. Good morning to all the listeners. So remember last year when they had the gathering limits and you couldn't go down the road? You remember that? So we are technically we're super organized with what we do. So we actually got all the costumes made before the whole pandemic lockdown. So we were sitting down like 500 costumes. I think you remember people were like hitting you up saying we should give refunds, but we actually had all the costumes on island. So what we did was we sat down and said, you know what? We have 500 costumes and the majority of our revelers were local. We decided to do our own weekend where we could only cater to 500 people because of the gathering limits and COVID. So we hit up Camana Bay and got Festival Green. And we did this weekend of like, we did a party from I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just catered to our revelers. And it was all inclusive. They wore all the costumes.
Renegade. Sorry, just 1 second there for me. To our radio listeners, we're going to go ahead and end the radio show, but we'll continue the discussion on social media. So if you want to jump in on social media to hear what the rest of Renegade's comment is, please do. And to our Bobo 89.1 listeners, have a beautiful day. 1 second, Renegade.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.
All right, Renegade, my apologies.
Yeah, man.
So break it down for us.
So basically, we had enough people on island and the gathering limits was enough for us to do our own weekend. It was technically private to just those who bought costumes. And it was so successful, we realized, no, maybe we should keep doing this. So what we did was we had a mini parade around the back of Festival Green. There's like trails in the back. So we did that and then had like a full-on party till like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. So it was highly successful. So we decided to always do it. So that's what we're doing again, another weekend. It's not on the public road. We have different events at different venues. And it technically kicks off the K-Mass weekend. So they're trying to have stuff every week leading up to K-Mass. So that's what it is.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit then about your events. So K-Mass is happening when this year?
K-Mass is still July 2nd. Our weekend is actually next weekend. We brought down a lot of international DJs and artists for that. So is what it really boiled down to. I mean, Donna is a good friend as well, but there was always conflict. Like say, Badabino, we would bring a lot of the artists and international DJs in, us and other bands, and Donna never had the resources to put on certain things, but she would be. I guess the community would be a little upset that we're putting on events the same time as their event, so it would overshadow theirs. So it kind of made sense for us to move our events as well. And now that we did, you can see the end result is the mass bands make carnival. There is no carnival without the bands putting money into that weekend for it to be entertaining. It never was Donna, it never was whoever. It's always the mass bands putting the money in for it to be spectacular. But now that we've all moved, you see the shell of what it was.
Well, lots of criticisms coming in saying that Badabinu is not advertised properly, that they brought down 2 artists that no one knew anything about.
Well, it's not that they're not advertised. I mean, again, you need resources to advertise stuff. You need to adapt. You need to, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the resources to advertise, what are you gonna do?
Well, I don't know. Where does K-Mass get the resources from? Like how is money made? They sell
again,
costumes.
I can't speak for K-Mass. We can all speak for ourselves. Money is being made through costumes and events. The reason our costumes are expensive is because we provide so much. Like we provide bathrooms on the road, we provide food, drinks, high-end, like it's over and beyond, and we technically don't make money, at least not what it should be. So it really is just a love of carnival and a love of soca. But if we stop, you'll see, if we all stop, who the people are complaining probably don't do carnival, but if we all stop, say Swanky stop, I stop, you have Fresh, Tribal, then it'll be exactly what you saw Saturday. That's just what it is.
Wow.
It is already a collective effort, and once the actual organizers, which was done, and the community realized the power does really stand with the band. So technically, all Badabanu and K-Mass is doing is closing a road. We don't need anything else from them. You understand? It's just to close the road.
Right. Now, tell us a little bit, for those of us who are not well versed in carnival, like myself. The bands are the individual groups of people that get together. So within carnival, you'll have multiple bands that are parading.
Yeah. So you have Renegade Mass is a mass band, obviously. Swanky is a mass band. You have Tribal. You have Kabbalah, or I can't remember it. It's not that much anymore. A lot has dropped up because it is super expensive to do it, and you've seen they've turned to T-shirts. Again, that girl said she paid $50 to go down the road in a T-shirt. No one wants to see someone go down the road in a T-shirt, and you're getting all you can drink. So that's the result you'll have with carnival. And to me, I don't need to go down the road. I mean, that's why we do Festival Greens. It's just until Dart says no. I think that's the only venue for it, but I don't really believe you should block the road. I mean, especially the way Badabinu did it, where they went on both roads, that didn't make any sense to me.
So they went both roads?
Yeah, they started on the bypass, came around, and then to go into Camana Bay, you had to block 2 roads.
Oh, wow. On a Saturday afternoon.
Right. So, I mean, on that level, but thank God, if it was huge, then it would have been worse traffic. But, I mean, those are the little things I think government need to just look at. I mean, they're going off of tradition, but they need to look at what makes sense.
And how much say does government have in these carnivals? Does government provide, I don't know if you know this or not, but is government providing any funding to the carnivals? I mean, I know it can be a huge tourism attraction.
It is. Government provides funding. That's why they put the logo on their advertising.
So they're one of the sponsors. So Soka says, Sandra, mass means masquerade. Oh, thank you, Soka, for that lesson. Carnival 101. And Denise says, Renegade Mass experience is worth every penny, and the costumes are of great quality.
Thank you.
So Denise, very good. So what happened to the costumes after the event? Is it like you only can wear it once, or can you dress up for Halloween in those costumes?
You can if they want. A lot of people keep them, and they'll other parties pop up where you can use it. So
Yeah.
but more than likely, it's like a collector's item.
Nice. So Miss Sherry Ann sent me a costume. She said that let me just see if I can share this with you guys on screen. She sent a picture of her costume a couple years back, and she said this costume was $1,500. Do people spend that kind of money on costumes?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Not here, but overseas.
Oh my gosh.
It's not. See, the costume is just the gateway into what you get. The offers. You understand?
Right.
It's not just the costume, but that's just
Wow. So some people go all out with everything, the headgear and the works. All right. So Renegade, when is your event coming up? What's the date for your event?
Next week, starting May 18th to the 21st, we have curated list for the soca lovers. You can go on ticketsplus.ky to see it. If you're not a soca lover, don't come. Because if you go too big, you get people that don't understand.
Yes.
And if you don't understand it, you won't appreciate it. So we try to keep it to that niche, like you really understand.
You love soca. So here's Soca Phillip. She says, hate soca, poor soul.
Yeah.
Because as you can tell from her name, she loves her some soca. All right. Renegade, we appreciate you coming on the program in real time and explaining exactly, kind of what Renegade Mass is. At least that part of the conversation is now crystal clear. So folks, two things that we've learned from Renegade: what Renegade Mass is, when his event is coming up, why it was started, why they've chosen even the venue that they have. And more importantly, there's no beef between him and K-Mass. They are working together. This is the pre-event. So go out and enjoy. Soca says soca is life.
And there's none between Donna and myself as well. The only reason we weren't in Bada was she didn't remember they have to wait on government to lift the gathering limits. So I called Donna, I think it was in March, and I asked, and she wasn't sure then. I told her I can't be prepared in time, and I told her, and she understood.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we weren't in Bada.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, my dear. All right, folks. So that's how we like it, straight from the horse's mouth. You guys can get it right now. Don't keep misrepresenting what's actually happening. Share the correct information. Renegade was kind enough to jump on the live with us. Someone else message says, yes, I was wondering how I didn't see you reporting about it. Bada gone to nothing. Oh, Lord. Well, I hope that our lack of reporting on it didn't have any impact on your comments, because really and truly, like I said, it kind of snuck up on me, and I had other stuff going on. So unfortunately, I was just, just is what it is. So guess what? We have finally a comment from Dr. Garcia. Shall we read this comment now? Do you guys have time to hang with me a little bit longer, or shall we leave it till tomorrow? Tell me what you guys want. I work well with Donna Myrie, says Quincy. Let's read. It's a little bit late in the day, but I guess better late than never. We finally have a response from Dr. Garcia. You see, this is where, to me, government, aka the civil service, needs to get it together. You have literally waited. Like this conversation's done. People have already made up their mind. They've had hundreds of comments on it. It's like, we're done with the conversation. But let's read what she says. So she says, good morning. I'm curious to see if we know anything new. So she says, good morning. I understand that there's been a public discussion on my eligibility to work in the United Kingdom as the Cayman Islands government representative. In order to add some clarity to the series of events, I'm sharing the following details. I signed my contract in March of 2021 after a successful recruitment process with the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs. Following the Cayman Islands general election in April of 2021, the responsibility for the UK office was transferred to the Cabinet Office, and I joined the Cabinet Office on May the 1st, 2021. The travel document used when entering the UK on July the 10th, 2021 was my Canadian passport. As a Caymanian who was born in Canada, I possess Caymanian status. Like many other Caymanians who were born overseas, on entering the UK, I was open and clear with the border control officer that I was starting a new post as the Cayman Islands representative in the UK, and there was no concern raised. As a Caymanian who's entitled to a British passport and wanting to be able to travel with such a passport, in my official capacity as the Cayman Islands representative in the UK, I commenced steps necessary to obtaining a British passport in April of 2021. Starting with being naturalized as just British overseas territory, I was naturalized on September the 14th of 2021. I returned home on March the 31st, 2022 for a combination of annual leave and planned work. And it was during this trip home that it was brought to my attention by my chief's officer that questions had been raised regarding my right to work status in the UK, that I should ensure that I have a British passport to continue working in the UK without doubt. When this was brought to my attention, I took immediate action to rectify the situation and applied for a British passport while home in Cayman. It has been an honor for me as a seventh generation Caymanian to serve my beloved Cayman Islands as the Cayman Islands government representatives in the UK. I look forward to continuing that work, and my team have been delivering as we represent our government and our people. Okay. So pretty much everything we wrote was correct. Thanks for the confirmation. So she actually wasn't naturalized until September. So even after she had gone overseas, she still wasn't naturalized. So this is interesting where she says that she returned home on March the 31st, 2022 for a combination of annual leave and planned work, because sources said the reason why she returned home is because at that point she knew that she needed to regularize her status. She's saying that she didn't know that until after she came home. It was brought to her attention by her chief officer. So that's bizarre, because I can tell you from some very, very high rank and file people that that's not what they were told. They were told she came back in order to get her passport sorted out, not for annual leave and planned work. What planned work would you have here that would make you come back for 4 months at a time, or whatever point you're staying here until August? That part of the story is a little bit inconsistent with what we know, but the rest of it is pretty much what we already knew. So, okay. Because of course, that's why we were asking, why on earth would you be here to apply for UK passport? You can do that in London. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about that situation. And yes, Quincy, we did hear that as well. So I think it's reached enough ears now that someone says, you smell that, eh? You smell that BS? She's a liar. Oh my goodness, what a mess. At the end of the day, folks, let me just say this. This is crazy. Oh, what do I say about this? It is what it is. She's given an explanation. Dr. Tasha, get it sorted out. It's sad that it had to be brought to your attention by your chief officer, to be honest. I would have thought that it would have been quite obvious to you that something's amiss. And it is interesting that she says the processing, like when she went up to the immigration officer, she's like, oh, I'm here to work, and they didn't say anything. You know, I'm not so sure that they probably understood what she meant by that. Like, oh, I'm going to be working in the UK. Well, let me see your work documents right now. Maybe they were just like, yeah, whatever. All right. So, folks, a bit of sad news this morning. Cayman Islands national hero, the Honorable Sybil McLaughlin. Our reports are that she has passed away. I feel confident in making this report because you guys know when it comes to announcing people have died, I'm just like, I ain't telling nobody that nobody has died. Because y'all be like, oh, this person died. And next thing you know, they calling me like, Sandy, I'm still here in my rocking chair. But we received it from numerous sources this morning. And someone says that Miss Sybil has gone to be with the Lord. Ambulance reached her home this morning. So I do feel relatively confident that is the case. Another comment says, sir, condolences to her family, and we'll post something up a little bit later on. So more comments coming in. All right, so one person says her father is a born Caymanian and she would have gotten it from him. So why does she have to get naturalized? She should have become a Caymanian as of right, and this is not required for. No, it depends on when you were born. So this is actually a really good question, and this is where people need to know what the laws are. Now, I don't know how old Dr. Tasha Garcia is, but I think she must be, she's not 50, but she's probably like maybe 45 to 47, maybe in that range. But let me see if I can figure out how old she is. So what that means is, depending on when she was born, if she was born before, when did the law change? 74 or 76 or somewhere around there. If she was born in the Cayman Islands, but the point is she wasn't born in the Cayman Islands, right? So she wasn't born in the Cayman Islands, because if you're born in the Cayman Islands, you automatically, back in those days, you didn't have to prove anything. The fact that you're born in 73, 74, 75, whatever, that meant that you were, even if you I think had parents from elsewhere, once you were born here back then, you were automatically a Caymanian. So you don't get it as of right when you're born elsewhere. You have to go through a process of acknowledgement. And there are other ways, like my daughter, because she has one Caymanian parent and one non-Caymanian parent, we actually had to apply and get an acknowledgement letter. So no, she had to become naturalized. And the only passport she has ever had is a Canadian passport. So it's a process that you have to go through. And listen, all of us at times may have to regularize our status in one way or another. So for my daughter, she doesn't have a clue what's going on. You ask her, where are you from? She's like, I'm a Caymanian. We're always joking, because then I'm like, and what is daddy? Daddy's a Jamaican? I'm like, yep. So far, he's not naturalized yet, so he can't claim it yet. But folks, at the end of the day, if you are a born, even if you're born Caymanian, depending on the circumstances of your birth, you may have to get acknowledged. So I have done an acknowledgement for her. I filled out all the paperwork and stuff already, because I don't want her to have any issues. And every single school you go to now, they're like, okay, prove to us the child's Caymanian. Right? So you need to have these things in place. And so her acknowledgement letter is good for life. This is not a process that we will ever have to repeat. Now, having said that, the government is working. I hear that there's a prototype out there. I'm still waiting. I've seen the prototype, in fact, but I'm still waiting on confirmation on this national ID. So government, the elected arm of government, has been presented by the Civil Service, this prototype for national ID, and it has like a pin and chip and all sorts of stuff in it that'll make it extremely high tech and pretty well secured. Now, that pin and chip and that secure code is something that hopefully will be cross-checked and double-checked. But once that is issued to you, it's kind of like in the US having a social security number. Someone plugs that number in and they know everything about you. They can check your credit history. It's pretty tied into your identity. So this national ID, hopefully, will also have everything about your work permit status, your immigration status. Everything should be tied into one. So I'm looking forward to that eventually launching as well. So someone says Tasha is about 2 years younger than me. So that means she's about 44, 45. I figured she's probably in her mid 40s. But I think the difference with Tasha, Dr. Garcia, is that she actually was not born in the Cayman Islands. She was born overseas. So there's certain steps that she definitely had to take. So someone else commented, if she's born in Canada, what documentation would she have to prove Caymanian status if she was not naturalized? a Cayman status certificate? Well, this is a good question, my dear sir. And I was asking the exact same thing because I don't know. And so how did she ever qualify for Miss Cayman? Like, how did they know that she was Caymanian, you know? I don't know. I'm sure she probably got maybe university scholarships and all that kind of stuff. So it's different. There are things about it that I just don't know, and an immigration expert would be able to tell us. Um, because and someone else says make sure because my daughter had to reapply after she turned 17, and I think before she turned 19. So I've been told when I applied at the time that the one that I was getting was good for life and there was no need, because I'm aware of people who've been caught up in this situation as well, but I've been told that there would be no need for her to reapply for the type of acknowledgement that she got. And of course, even the acknowledgement that a child is given, it depends on the parent status, right? So my daughter's acknowledgement is based on me being a Caymanian, but I was a Caymanian that was born in 73. So no one can ever question, I don't need a piece of paper to say that I'm a Caymanian because of the year that I was born. And I've had a Cayman passport, obviously, from whatever young age. But because I was born in 73, I was born before the changes to the law, which happened, I think, around 75 or 76. Right. So I'm one of those that predate people who fall into this, what they call Nowerian situation or whatever. So I think that that is why the type of acknowledgement that she gets, because it's based on my status at the time of her birth, and also how I became a Caymanian. I was a Caymanian at birth. So I didn't have to get acknowledged because I think it's different. Luigi, buenos dias. So Luigi says, I'd be happy to come on the show tomorrow to clarify a few things about the past this past weekend. Badabanu? Okay. Tracy says there are many ghost Caymanians who have no idea that they're ghosts. They should follow up on these individuals to ensure that they're recognized and have due citizenship. I mean, I think that you have to know your status. And I'm always perplexed when people don't have a passport. And I'm like, in this day and age, why don't you have a passport? And listen, a passport can be just a travel document. That's true. But it can also be an acknowledgement or proof of what your status is. So in some countries, that is your proof. In some countries, it's a birth certificate. In Cayman, it could be neither because it just depends on how you were born, under what circumstances, what your parents were at the time of your birth, et cetera, et cetera. So you can have a Cayman passport and not be a Caymanian. You can have a birth certificate that said you were born in the Cayman Islands and not be a Caymanian. Knowing those things, you want to make sure that you got your business sorted out. So Marshall thinks that she's about 49 or 50. I don't know. So yes, Miss Wee, our condolences to Miss Sybil's family this morning. She was definitely on my list to interview, but I gotta get on it. As a matter of fact, I'm supposed to do an interview this morning. I'm just gonna double check that, because when you're interviewing older people, you got to make sure they're actually feeling okay on the day of the interview, because their strength, their stamina and their strength and how they're feeling for the day, mentally agile and so forth, can vary. So Quincy says a mother can disown a child she gave birth to. By law, she can't disown an adopted child. Just like I was born here, but the one with Caymanian status is more Caymanian than me legally. Depends on when you were born, Quincy, and what you've done to acknowledge that. So Magdalene says at that time, the acknowledgement letter did not exist. Why didn't she just get a Cayman passport? It is weird to me. So Janetta says, do you know if a child has to have a Cayman passport first before getting acknowledged? Let me think about this. I'm trying to remember the process now. Maybe we should do a show on this. We need to bring on like an immigration expert. I'm trying to remember. Of course, my daughter has had a Cayman passport. Let me see if one of my immigration sleuths are paying attention, and if they can quickly answer this for me. I'll ask a few people here who are. Let me just think about this. I think it might be required. So does the child, Janetta, have any sort of a passport at all? Because let me just have a look at the website for works. I think you might want to have a passport. Let's see here. Passport applications. Oh no, it's now, this would be CBC, right? Oh gosh, I'm so confused between all the different websites. So border control, customs and border control. I think this is the one. Where does all this stuff fall under now? I can't even remember. Or is it works? Oh gosh, they've confused me with splitting these agencies. Let me find out for you. Let me find out for you which website, because they do have a residency. Hold on. Yeah, the old immigration website is still up and working, which is kind of weird because this doesn't fall into works, I don't think, but it does. But they have a separate website. So let me see. Rights to be Caymanian. Here we go. So we have a person may apply to the Chief of Right to be Caymanian. So here's the crux. A person who may apply, who may apply. That's such a weird way to say it. To the Chief Immigration Officer, the right to be Caymanian, a person who was born in the Cayman Islands between March 27th, 1977 and January the 1st, 1983, is a British Overseas Territory citizen by virtue of being born in the Cayman Islands and has resided in the Cayman Islands since birth, save for absences abroad for purposes of education or medical treatment. So you see, these little things, these little caveats catch you up because, say, for example, Dr. Garcia was born after March 27th, 1977, and she didn't really reside in the Cayman Islands since birth. So, because I think part of the time she was in Canada? I don't know. So this was something that was done back in 2007. Why is this website so outdated? Last updated in 2017. So it says the Chief Immigration Officer is required by law, save in exceptional circumstances, to grant such an application. Okay. So the Caymanian Status and Permanent Residency Board may, upon application, grant the right to be Caymanian to persons in the categories below. For details and requirements for each category, click on the link. So child or grandchild of a Caymanian born in the Cayman Islands. So that would be my daughter, for example. A person who is a British Overseas Territory citizen by reason of a certificate of naturalization issued under the British Nationality Act 1981. A person who is married to Caymanian. A person who's a surviving spouse of a Caymanian. And a person who has attained the age of 17 has Caymanian status, which will expire when they reach the age of 18 and has expired as they've reached the age of 18. Who has legally and ordinarily resided in the Cayman Islands. So, acknowledgement of the right to be Caymanian. So there's acknowledgement of the right to be Caymanian, and there's an application for the right to be Caymanian, and they're actually different things. So guidelines, guidance for right to be Caymanian application. So you need a cover letter, application form, fees, evidence of birth. So this is where you need a copy of your birth certificate, proof of identity. And it does say, so we may confirm your identity, please provide a copy of your current passport, the data page showing your name and photograph. So it does ask you for a passport for proof of identity. And then you might need other things like providing evidence that the parent is Caymanian, provide proof of legal and ordinary residence, evidence of marital status or paternity, provide proof of legal and ordinary residence. This is when you get to the age of 18 to get your continuation. So there's different ways that you can get it, right? If you're applying for it as of right, which I think is how my daughter got it, but it's as of right through me. Right? Child, it gets a little bit complicated. And then they have a domicile requirement. We need an immigration expert on the show. But yes, I mean, the bottom line is if you know that you have to get something sorted out, then yeah. So Janetta says, no, the child is a toddler born last year. I would suggest you get her passport first. Yes. Yeah. You know, as soon as my daughter was born, within a month, I had her passport. And in fact, my husband and I always laugh at her passport photo because she looks so different. This is why they only issue you passports, I think, for 5 years, right? For little kids. Let me guys show you this. This is like super funny. I'm not going to show you her passport number, but I'm going to show you something about her passport. So she looks, in one picture, she kind of looks like a little Asian Filipino baby. And then in the next picture, so this is her in one photo. Maybe this one could pass. I think this was the second passport that we did. So we did the Cayman passport first. We got that back, and then we did her UK passport. But she looks so different in this photo versus the one that was taken like the month before, because their little faces change so much. Let me see if I can find the other one. So that's her UK passport. The other one totally looks different. I don't know where her Cayman passport is, but anyway, she looks very, very different, the two passports. So we always laugh like, where you get this Chinese Filipino looking baby from? You stole somebody's baby. So Irvlin says, yes, the child is required to have a Cayman passport. Yeah, Quincy, I certainly hope that those interviews, he said he was thankful to have interviewed the national hero twice, once on Vibe 98.9 and once in her home. I'm hoping that those have been archived because trust me, we are losing our history left, right, and center with the loss of these individuals. The Ugly Truth says the truth is our immigration law has had too many hodgepodge additions done to it over the years. The law now lacks clarity and cannot hold up in the court of law. Full of loopholes. And a lot of that I agree with you, the Ugly Truth, and a lot of that has happened in part sometimes because people were taking advantage of the system. And they were just here dropping their seed and, oh, I've got a Caymanian child, so that gives me rights to be a Caymanian. And there's been so many attempts to try to control that, that it's just been a mess, quite frankly. So I don't know how we're going to fix that, but it certainly is a mess. And it is very confusing. Like you feel like you need an expert to be able to tell you what to do when it comes to immigration. All right, folks, that's the program for today. Have a beautiful day. I'm going to head out and get some errands run. I want you guys to go out there and work just as equally hard, if not harder than me, because I'm not necessarily the hardest working person in the world, but I am a smart worker. So you guys have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow morning bright and early.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.